Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, blessings, and mercy of God be upon you. This is a short briefing from www.central-mosque.com and from the Humble Heart YouTube channel about the mental health impact of coronavirus. I'm also going to do another presentation on economic impact, but I'm currently collecting my notes, doing my research and stuff, and hopefully it should be ready. And when it is, we'll talk about it. First things first, for the last few years or decades, I've dealt with many Muslim communities across many Western countries, and I don't understand why Muslims think that they are superhumans and they're different to non-Muslims in the society. Yes, we have our spirituality, we have some protection, and so on and so forth, but the ills, the stresses, the depressions, the mental health uh, problems which plague non-Muslims, they also plague Muslims. Our mosques, our imams, our scholars don't talk about it. People don't talk about it in the community. Doesn't mean it does not exist. It exists. We just choose not to talk about it because it's a taboo. Whatever challenges, hurdles, problems the society has and throws on other humans, we as humans are equally impacted. Now, if we were following the Quran and the Sunnah, we were particular in our prayers, we were reading the Sunnah invocations or du'as, and we were following other aspects of Sunnah, perhaps we'll be more immune, not completely immune, more immune, but it is what it is. Muslims are affected. I wish the mosques and the imams and scholars would talk about it, but they choose not to. That's fine. Maybe they think it's not a priority. But trust me, you will not find, in my opinion, any community in the West where mental health issues and problems do not exist. They absolutely exist. We choose to brush it under the carpet and not talk about it, but they do. We're not superhumans. All of the challenges, hurdles, changes in the societies that affects other humans affects us as Muslims. Maybe not as much, you can say, maybe not to the same degree, but it absolutely affects us. Because of coronavirus, things have changed. We've been confined into our homes. Our movements have been restricted. So right now I'm looking outside the window. The weather is nice. In this kind of weather, most people will be stepping out. They will be doing some kind of activities. In fact, actually at this time they'll be at work. But nevertheless, if this was a weekend or something, they'll be stepping out, doing something with the families or doing something which they like. They cannot do that. And against their will, they have been restricted. Children are at home. So most families, when children are home, they plan some kind of activities with these children. They cannot do those. The children are restless. Schools are giving them some work, so they're doing their maths or English or whatever they're doing. But how long can they carry on doing that? Familiar sights and surroundings. We all have our safe spaces. So whenever we feel stressed or, concerned about life, we always retreat to familiar sights and surroundings. Cannot do that anymore because once again we're confined and restricted. And fifth, and the most important, there is a spiritual void in our lives. Now, me, please make dua for me because I am sinful. I don't go to the mosque as often as I should, but even when I don't go, I know it exists. I know there are brothers and sisters who are praying. I know there are things, there are activities going on in the mosque and so on and so forth. Right now, the void exists because it's not going on. There's public restriction in my mosque. People are not allowed because of government order and so on. So that's a huge thing. So when you drive past it, you're used to people, going in and out or being in the parking lot or things happening. It's not happening anymore. So all of these things are real. You're being confined against your will. Your movements are restricted. You've got restless children. You have a spiritual void. Maybe familiar sounds of certain scholars and stuff are you're not hearing from the mosque, or you're unable to meet them, or you're unable to ask these questions. If you don't admit to it, it's going to make your life worse. These things are real. They are tangible. They are here. The quicker you admit that there's a problem, the quicker you can deal with it. If you choose to brush it aside, then you may have a problem. So I've just given a certain points. Now for other people it might be a little something different. They cannot meet their friends and families, of course, and so on. So many things. So it's time for those who've been confined under lockdown, shutdown, whatever you want to call it, social distancing. We Humans are social by nature. Most people are social. They like to see people they like and so on. Can't do this anymore. So it's time for people to admit that this is actually happening. How do you deal with it? Number one, during my research, I came across this item which is basically pretty much common, and all the mental health experts are recommending this. They said restrict your news exposure. At this time, you pretty much know everything there is to know for a layman about COVID-19 or coronavirus. As far as what you can do as an individual, you already know. Social distancing, stay home, don't see people, maintain, whatever. There's nothing wall to wall coverage of this news is going to tell you what you already don't know. You already know, unfortunately, that many more people are going to be affected. You already know, unfortunately, that many people may die because of it. Watching the news every day doesn't bring you anything new. What you do need to know is, different governments have different strategies, so, and they usually have, press briefings or some kind of a press release every day. So you need to know whether the restrictions are being made harsher or they've been, you know, eased. So you need to know a little bit, but you don't need to know the wall-to-wall news coverage. You already know what's going to happen. So please, please, please save yourself from the mental anguish. There's no reason for you to watch the news. Okay. Number two, there's a lot of temptation amongst people that basically, so I'm not going to work. I've got nowhere to go. So I'm just going to come up with my own routine, sleep whenever I want to, get up whenever I want to. Trust me, that is the worst thing you can do to your life. Okay, you need to have a routine. So you get up at a certain time, you go to sleep at a certain time, and you do a certain set of activities, even when you're confined at home. It is critical that you come up with a routine. Unfortunately, many people lose their jobs, and one of the things that becomes so hard for them to do is their routine breaks. So when they're working, they have a routine of getting up a certain time, doing certain things. When the routine breaks, it's very difficult for you to snap out of it. Okay? So basically stick to a routine. Number three, number two and three are kind of related. Take care of yourself. This is what the military drills into you. So no matter what it is, take care of yourself. Okay, take care of your kit. Take care of what you look like. Take care of your clothes. Don't basically let yourself go, because if you let yourself go physically, your mind is gonna is gonna let you go, right? Don't do that. Take care of yourself. Whatever normal grooming routines, whatever you have, stick to it. Take care of yourself, please. No matter what your um what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. So um your financial circumstances, no matter what your financial circumstances or restrictions and your physical restrictions are, take care of yourself at this time. Do not let yourself go, and come up with a routine. Number four, pick up a challenge, right? So we humans, we respond to challenges. So what that does is singularly focus your mind onto something, and it helps you ignore all the chaos around you. So basically, come up with a challenge, and in building your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the closer you go to Allah, the easier it is for you to deal with situations. I'm not talking about picking up some. You can pick up some kind of a hobby or something like that, but pick up a challenge which will take you closer to Allah. The stronger your relationship with Allah, the better it is that you can cope with the mental health aspect of coronavirus, whatever it may be. You want to learn Arabic, plenty of stuff on YouTube, and books and stuff, follow it up. There are plenty of scholars who have commentaries on the Quran from part A to part 30 complete that, or commentaries of hadith, whatever. The only thing I would like to warn you about is pick a scholar who is trustable, who is well known and established. Don't pick up some random person on YouTube. Trust me, there are plenty of random people on YouTube that talk about the Quran and the Sunnah, and unfortunately they shouldn't be, but it's a free society. Anybody can create an account on YouTube and talk about it like I am right now. So basically, this is what you need to do, is to cope with it. So I'm going to highlight this again. Restrict your news exposure, stick to a routine, take care of yourself, pick up some kind of a challenge. And let me tell you something, from what the little bit of I know, this isn't going to end in the next 2 weeks. No matter what Donald Trump says in the White House, it isn't going to end. All right. This is going to last some considerable time. So You better look after yourself, because if you can look after yourself, you can look after others who are under your care. It's just like when you're on a plane and they tell you put the face mask on yourself before you put the mask on others, because you need to make sure that you're okay before so you can take care of other people. So please stick to it, and my dua and my prayers are are with all of you, and please make dua for me as well. And remember, you are not superhuman. You are not superhuman. You are not superhuman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.